We have 71% in. Is that right? 71% in from the Iowa caucus. And everybody has moved to New Hampshire. To a large extent, nothing has really changed. Now, yesterday, or not yesterday, 2 days ago, we had experts that we spoke to, Dave Weigel, Bobby Bigwheel, and they were telling us that, look, the actual number of delegates, not that big of a deal with Iowa because there's just not that many. It's a fraction of what you'll ultimately need. It's all about momentum and the narrative that comes out of it. And there are clearly, there's a couple of narratives that are coming out of it. One is Joe Biden lost big time. I've got a story here in my packet of donors saying, like, this is not what I anticipated. And everybody's going to hold off on giving him money until see how he performs in New Hampshire. New Hampshire is make or break for Joe Biden. Because if he comes in third or fourth in New Hampshire, he's going to flag well, he's certainly not going to do so well in Nevada. And then he's going to go kaput in South Carolina. Because if he comes in second in South Carolina, forget it. Even if it's a close first in South Carolina, he's in big trouble. As for the narrative as to who won, well, we've told you there are multiple metrics that are used in the Iowa caucus. One is they are now reporting what the first popular vote was. Then they give you the realignment, and then they give you the delegates that were awarded as a function of the realignment. And even poor Steve Kornacki can't believe how messed up this is. Now, I think there's a very good argument that, like, if you're going to get only 71% of the votes in by Wednesday, that maybe you should just wait till Thursday. But what are they going to do? If the Iowa Democratic Party had not been doling this out so that there's a new narrative every time, we wouldn't have this problem. And I do think it is a problem on some level. I don't know if they're consciously doing it. I wouldn't want to be sitting in that office with the press going, well, you got to tell us what you have right now. And I find it hard to believe that they'd be in a position where they could say, like, we're only going to take the numbers from these areas and not those areas, and we're going to do this in a conscious level. It's possible, but you'd think they'd want to help Joe Biden more. Maybe there's just not enough to work with. Here's Steve Kornacki talking about how messed up what is hopefully the last Iowa caucus that we will ever deal with.
There are 3 different categories. They were all just released at once. What you're seeing on your screen right now, this is the state delegate equivalent category. This is, so the numbers you see underneath, 359 for Buttigieg, 334 for Sanders, 243 for Elizabeth Warren. These are state delegate equivalents. Now, remember, there are about 2,100 of these statewide. So Buttigieg with 359, that's accounting for 27%. You can start to do the math of what that accounts for. This is a complicated formula where each precinct in the state is worth a certain number of state delegate equivalents. They work their way up. Notably, let me make sure I saw this right. This is the final product. This is the initial preference. Yes, we have a discrepancy right now. The initial preference when people showed up. Remember, these are not final results right now. He said 62% of precincts. We got to see what that exactly accounts for in terms of votes here. But right now, the numbers that the Iowa Democratic Party just released, the initial preference in these precincts, you can see, was Sanders 24, Buttigieg 21, Warren 19, Biden 15. You can see Klobuchar 13. And you can see what happens. Remember, in every precinct, 15%, the magic number. So let's show you what happened then. Again, for all these precincts, this is the reallocation. So watch. Remember those numbers? Now watch this. And there you go. Wow. So whoa. Sanders on the second allocation continues to lead much tighter. So how does Sanders lead in the state delegate equivalent? How does Buttigieg lead in the state delegate equivalent if he's not leading on the second allocation? It gets into, and I got to take a look here very closely.
Yeah.
But my theory, my suspicion here, strong suspicion would be
he almost
what
said
we've been
fear.
talking about. These counties are weighted differently here. The rural counties have a little bit more clout when it comes to the state delegate equivalents. And you can see here Buttigieg in dark blue. These are rural counties. These are rural counties. Sanders purple, College County, College County, College County. Watch, 52% for Sanders here. These counties lose influence, lose clout in the state delegates. And so therefore, I think what you're seeing is the clout of the Buttigieg counties in the state delegate equivalent, putting him on top.
All right, so there you have it. So the fact is that in the first round, Bernie Sanders got more votes. And then, of course, there's realignment. You have candidates who don't cross the threshold of 15%, so they go to their second choice. And apparently, even after that, Bernie Sanders got more votes. But because Pete Buttigieg got them in counties that have, for whatever reason, I'm not sure what the formula is.
It's like the Electoral College, right?
It is like the Electoral College.
And may we say that a lot of people who've been making the sort of, I think it's at this point, unhelpful point, frankly, because we live in the world as it is, but very accurate point after Trump won to keep reminding people that Hillary Clinton got over 3 million more votes. There's a contingent of people that I wonder if they'll be sort of beating their chests about how Bernie got more votes. I mean, the bottom line is each vote should be a vote. If we're counting it that way in the proper democratic way that people have been bleeding about the last couple of years, clear win for Bernie Sanders.
Well, I mean, we don't know that because we don't even know the totals yet. I mean, it could be an even clearer win, Indeed. Or he may not end up with with more votes. Right now, he has 4,000 more votes, but this is in the first round. In the second round, about 1,300 more votes. So the bottom line is, Buttigieg and Sanders are coming out as the victors here. Buttigieg, if only because nobody anticipated him coming in second. Mm-hmm. And so it's a victory because of that narrative, right? At the end of the day.
Yeah. But even if Buttigieg ekes out a win here, I think we should remember the role that the second round plays here, because he's combining everybody who initially went for Klobuchar, everyone who initially went for Biden in some of those places. And even that might not be enough to put him over the top of Sanders.
That's right. That's true.
With all of these dregs.
That's true. But nevertheless, even if you put that aside, he got 21% of the, almost 21.5% of the vote. He came in second, which is a win for him.
It's the Rubio. I mean, this state, he performed well.
And so, the thing is that I think once you get to Nevada and South Carolina, Buttigieg has a problem, but who knows how much momentum he will get going up to that point, going into Super Tuesday. We don't know, folks.
We can only look forward to Bernie making fun of how he drinks water.
Exactly. So, Pete,
never seen a guy drink so much. He's a young guy. He's thirsty all the time. It's bizarre.
Why are your shoes so small?
I think we all know what that means.
We know what that means.
I would be fine with having Mayor Pete be the primary adversary here.
That would be preferable.
I think ultimately it's the problem that they're going to have. You start to hear people freaking out about Joe Biden, and they're starting to look to Bloomberg, and they're also starting to look back to Klobuchar and to Buttigieg, and that bodes well. But